Hello, this is Duane the Great Writer, and we are at episode 5, The Real Wake Up Now, and today's topic, just a generalization of what has taken place on the earth over the many lifetimes all of us have been here, and also other planets and systems and dimensions. And the basic idea is religion, and also the idea of voodoo with religion, what has come to know as that, or ritualism, and the many ideas around religion. It was the other day I was on Facebook. We do a lot of Facebook, and someone had posted the definition. It was, if it was the Latin version or whatever, I don't remember. I am not the great intellect. I simply share my real side experiences and the real awareness that I have come to know from all my experiences, and that of with the real guides, Zartars, and the real universal guides. And what I'm doing here is the new man, and presenting what I do is the new presentation, and we as wonderful worldwide educators. And so the definition that I saw basically was the definition of religion is to bind, to constrict, to restrict, etc. And all these words have come from particular. If you really research words and why they were created around a particular idea or circumstance or what have you, and many times you'll see that they've become subliminal, is what they've become. And most people don't have the knowledge or the experience, what they actually do, but they just don't remember, of how this all kind of took place, how this formulated, let's just say from the beginning, but not the actual beginning, okay, of life as we know it. And that is that this is a dimensional life that we're experiencing here. It's not the actuality of life. What we're experiencing here is a reflection of the true reality life is. And so it's a dimensional life, because there's many dimensions that become created in the consciousness of cause and effect creation. So this sounds a little complicated, but once you understand it, it's very, very simple. It's not science. It's not a science as we know science. It's an actuality that we experience like a bird flying. It's very simple. And along the ideas of ideas that we create, and this is what it's become. Like a building is an idea. A car is an idea. These are things that are created. These are ideas like what we think and imagine with our head and our senses and the 5 bodies we have. And most people have not been taught, do not realize they have 5 various bodies. And this is where so much of the confusion comes from too, and what has taken place in the world is that people have not had the proper, or what I call a real education and real guidance. What they've had is secondhand or one-dimensional education and the so-called guidance accordingly, maybe guidance counselors in the school. Okay, again, one-dimensional. You're seeing things from one side. A circle has 360 degrees. It's just not one side. It's like standing in the park and looking at a statue, and you're looking at the front. You're seeing the face and the front side of it and what have you, however it's carved. But there's also the sides and the back and what have you of the statue that you're not seeing unless you walk around and see it from the other degrees or the other angles, you see? And that becomes your experience. It's so simple. It's so very, very simple. And so it takes some studying, and for the most part, as things become created through the lifetimes, and this is also what people don't see. We're not taught here, we're taught one-dimensionally. We're taught that each lifetime is the only lifetime we're here. That's the basic idea. And this is not so, that it is so that each lifetime is simply a continuation. And so once you understand this, you see the bigger picture. But again, as the belief systems, I call them, or we can call it religion, or these ideas, politics, religion, spiritual paths, your basic education and science. These are the basic five have been created, but they started off basically with religion and politics as things. These things have been created. Those that decided these also created the ideas around these ideas. So you got ideas upon ideas. Again, it sounds complex, but it's kind of like neutrons and protons and electrons and all these things that make up what we call science or whatever, how it's been dissected and determined. And just like our body is made up of, starches, proteins, vitamins, minerals, what have you, liquids, all these little ideas. It's not complicated once you understand it. And so there's a bigger history taking place that is not seen. And most people are at the mercy of an unconscious position because they don't have the right knowledge or guidance to see the bigger picture. Now, this is all a choice, too. Every person has free will, so they decide, what their experience is going to be. And so for the most part, they take an idea and they go, well, I like this idea, and then I'll see what other ideas are around it. What is the explanation of this idea? And so it becomes a little confusing simply because the systems that have been created, they've been created purposely to control what we term as human farming on this planet. And this is the original idea of this planet, and this is what most people don't realize. People have been told stories. If you go back to the beginning, and the masses, for the most part, because how they've been convinced, they don't really want to hear how things really took place. They want to hear stories that sound good, and that's fine. You can have whatever you want, and like when we were children, we wanted to hear stories from our parents, especially before bedtime. It was always fun, and then we go night-night, and the thing is that, I like to hear stories too. I like to hear a good story. And then from there comes an adventure to see, if we can make it work or not, if there's something to it, or if it makes sense, or if it doesn't, or it's just a good story and we get a laugh out of it. Whatever, we have that choice, don't we? We have all this variety, just like a smorgasbord. We get to pick and choose what we want. And so as we go back to the beginning, and I've went over this many, many times, and I'm not saying I'm right. That's not the idea. And it's not according to the officials. It's not according to the historians. It's not according to this and that. I have my own experiences. I have my own awareness. And eventually the individual, the bigger picture is that it starts to make sense as to what's taking place. Life makes sense. And I'm not talking about this life we're in here. Again, this is a dimensional life. We'll just call it that, okay? Sounds pretty spacey, but we'll just call it that. It's a dimensional life. So when we use the idea, it's a general idea. Life. This is not life. This is a dimensional life. This is a simulator. We're in creation. And the question has always been for many, how did creation start? Well, when you understand the true reality, life is more so than creation. It's an isness. It always has been. It is an isn't. It already is. And it is now. And it's not that it's been or will be. It's just that it always is. So we'll get to that also. But in the meantime, we're going to be dealing with creation because we start off in creation. And gee, how did we get here and what's going on? And then each person listening, they can determine this for themselves. So basically, I'm not going to go back through all the yugas and whatever. I'm going to go over some of this more so in Book 9, but it's not really that important. But to give you a basic idea that, the individuals that first came to this planet, they set it up as human farming, okay? They didn't set it up as a la-la land for people to come here and have a good time and go on vacation like people do in Hawaii and whatever and lay in the sun and etc., and get a suntan. No, that wasn't the original idea. The original idea is human farming, and most people don't want to hear this, but it's right in front of you. It's right in front of everybody. If you don't want to see it, hey, you don't have to see it. But it's right in front of you, and it's happening every moment, every day, and especially by the systems that have been invented to control the people on this world. And this is not the only planet that is taking place. No, this is the basic idea in the physical, because this is the rock bottom, one-dimensional area of the physical material realm. It's not rocket science. It's very simple. And especially as you take the time to study the various bodies and how they affect, you have 4 other bodies, astral, causal, mental, and etheric. And just like the physical body, it has faculties and they have senses accordingly. And your physical body with the 5 senses, then you have the astral body, which is your emotional body. It has the sensations, and this is where this love idea is formed. This is warm love is formed around this emotional love, which we think is the ultimate, but it's really just the sensations off the astral body that we incorporate with other ideas from the mental body. And then you have your causal body, which is your memory. It basically stores many things, not everything, but a lot of stuff. And then the mental is the mind, which calculates like your computer. And then the etheric, which is subconscious storehouse, and also intuitive part of yourself that is the closest relationship, you might say, to your real awareness. And so these 5 bodies have particular functions, like your car or any appliance you have or anything that's taken place in creation. You see what is created. Things have a certain function, and they're mechanical is what they are. They are not you. They are simply mechanical. They are animated bodies is what they are. Just like animation was created, Walt Disney and others have created animation. These bodies are animated. And your real awareness is an isness, and it's to be recognized. And that is the real you. That is the reality of who you are. But you must recognize that becomes the difference. In creation, we have conclusions and calculations, beginning, duration, ending, etc. This is how creation works. So again, we're going to back up a little bit here, and it is not a belief. There's no such thing in life as a belief, but if you want to believe there is, that's your choice. The idea of belief was created for people to chase, something that really doesn't exist, to keep you confused here for more lifetimes, so you come back as part of the support system. Now, if you want to do that, hey, go for it. You can stay here as long as you want. You can keep trying to make this place your la-la land. As you can see, it's self-destructing. In the last 200 years, the earth has gotten really, really bad. And it's only getting worse. And again, that's not a doomsday prediction. It's one that's agreed upon. And for those listening, you really don't recognize, probably for the most part, how you're agreeing to the demise of this world and yourself within it. Your choice. If you want to wake up to it and see what's going on, it's not a matter of changing things here. It's a matter of waking up and becoming more aware and deciding to take part in something that creates a benefit for yourself and the whole of life, or you don't. That's your choice. That's why you're here. And until you decide to stand in a real position with the whole of life, then you're not going to be in that position. You're going to be in creation, having to deal with cause and effect unconsciously. And this is where in the beginning that those that first came here, various alien factors, and we'll use the reptilians, the greys, the dragons, and many, many others that have come here, and there's many, many races that are here. I don't have to name them all. Figure it out yourself. You got the internet. Do your research. Do your homework. It really doesn't matter. The Palladians, whatever you see, good, bad, or indifferent. One-dimensional area, one-dimensional individuals, one trying to offset the other. And just like in the series Star Trek, you have the Federation, or the so-called good guys, and you have the Klingons, the bad guys, and others that are always doing battle with each other and situations taking place. And you see that in the world today. And it's always been, this has been so-called history of mankind, and it's nothing new. We're still there. It's still happening because, again, we have this major control factor, and this is where these systems have been created basically off of religion. And this is the topic today because the idea of religion is to control, to restrict, to bind others for human farming. It's just really that simple. Now, again, if you don't want to believe that, you don't have to listen. You don't have to consider it. You can believe whatever you want, and you will stay in the same routine. You will stay in the same cycles of so-called death and rebirth as you always have. And again, you'll as you leave this, as you just simply grow older here and leave this lifetime, you will forget you are here. That's your choice. And life is not concerned. The reality of life, I see it as represented because it is this, like the sun shining. The sun has always been there, shining, excuse me, upon the earth, and it's not concerned about what people do on the earth. What people do on the earth is simply a matter of choice. So, again, with those that have, come to the earth and established their human farming, they created the ideas of religion and politics is what they did. And it's basically religion. And it was a binding idea. In other words, they already had experience from many yugas, many vast lifetimes. These individuals actually remember their lifetimes. They can shape shift from the astral, actually the lower astral, to the physical. They have these abilities to do this. And so, again, the humans become the food for them. This is their dinner, you might say, and this is the human farming, just like people, raise cattle or chickens or whatever. That's chicken farming or, cattle farming, isn't it? Yeah. Well, this is human farming. This is the overall of the planet. Now, there's a lot more that's entailed with all this human farming, and as you go through and explore, and especially we have the internet today, and we have a lot of information, and a lot of people have a lot of information. And I'll kind of pick on David Icke here as an example. He's very good at his research, etc. But the thing is that he's one-dimensional. He doesn't understand the different dimensions and different levels, and some people do understand the various dimensions, but it's basically off the astral realm, because the astral realm has many, many dimensions there, and there's many dimensions around us that are not seen, and for the most part it's astral and part of the creation itself. So there's a much bigger picture. Beyond all of creation, there are real universes, and as people get into the material that I'm presenting here, and the real universal guides have always presented, they will see that there's so much more than just creation itself. But this is the first stage for us to experience. And so as this human farming was created, so were the ideas of religion and politics, which are actually the same thing. They're two different words or two different so-called ideas, but actually it all comes from religion. The religions of the world, there's basically one that controls all of the human farming on the planet. But what it does is that it actually creates other ideas that look separate from itself when actually they're not. And so through lifetimes of those that came to the planet, basically the reptilians, we'll just use them, we'll pick on them here. They have created this control factor, and they're the ones basically in control of the planet. And this is where the confusion and everything starts. And they created the religions. They decided the gods that people would worship, because there really are no gods. There are other individuals on other levels, on the astral, causal, mental levels, that are like governors. But again, they're warlords is what they really are. And they've just been exalted as gods. Because again, a god or an individual is not the whole of life. It's a separation. It's a separate entity is really what it is. But people have been persecuted, intimidated, and destroyed lifetime after lifetime. And these impressions stay with the individual to where as they continue on with their lifetimes, their death and rebirth, they're also carrying the burden of these impressions with them. And this basically is the reflection unconsciously that the conscious mind doesn't get, because every lifetime there's a new body and a new mind. So this is where basically the awareness of the individual is housed. It's just like you driving your car. You're the awareness that drives the car. You're not the car itself. And the body is a vehicle like a car. That's all it simply is. It's simply a vehicle. And as you get a new body each time, you forget about the old vehicle. You forgot that you were here before, and now you're in the new one, so this is where your attention is, and the world's a little bit different. And now it's all set up a particular, because it's a progression. You know, just like as you look at history, you see the progression of what's taken place, what's been created, and what is happening now. So you've been here a lot of lifetimes going through these systems, and the religious idea started off as ritualism to worship these invented gods is what it is. And the idea of belief came in, and that you're to have faith and to trust in these gods, okay, that create all the restrictions and the binding. And basically it's like a curse for you. As you agree, it becomes a curse for lifetime after lifetime. It becomes that actuality, but it's termed as a belief, you see.